Hello, and thanks for tuning in to QUTV. I'm Charity Boyd.
And I'm Sarah Valkamp. Today on QUTV, the celebration of Black History Month brings some interesting festivities to campus.
And find out how you can assist the community with help from One Greek organization. But first, do you find yourself in a constant time crunch while working your way through school? For more on this topic, we turn to our own Sarah Valkamp. Sarah?
Thank you, Charity. According to the Huffington Post, 4 out of 5 college students and university students work an average of 19 hours per week. Working a job while going to school can be both beneficial and a hassle. Students should only work as many hours as they can handle without feeling overwhelmed. Education is most important while attending school, and Liz Goodry talks about her experience with both an off-campus and on-campus job.
My freshman and sophomore year, I worked off campus, and it was really difficult because I had to worry about, getting there on time, like making sure I had enough gas in my car to get there, and then also worrying about how I was going to get my homework done because I'd be stuck at work, most of the night. And my junior year, I ended up getting a job here at QUO, and it's so much easier because I only have to walk, from my dorm to here, just across campus, and I'm fortunate because I'm able to do my homework while I'm at work, so it took a lot of stress off of me.
Everyone is feeling the impact of the cold this week. Students and faculty dug their cars out of the snow to attend class while maintenance worked to clear parking lots. QU Director of Facilities, Rob Goebel, says the rate of snow made it more difficult to clear than usual.
The last snowstorm that we had, not the dusting that we had recently, but the snowstorm that was like 10 inches, 12 inches. The one before that one was all ice pack, so we had to put salt down so that the salt would break everything up because the snow plows wouldn't get underneath, wouldn't chip it up. We had to then come back through by hand or with the chippers and chip everything up, and then we had to use shovels to get it off, and then we had to put salt down. So it was a considerable amount of work.
Goebel says they will continue to clear what they can.
Today is Valentine's Day, and it may seem like everyone is celebrating, but you may be surprised to find out that many students on our campus are not all that excited about Valentine's Day. QUTV reporter Colleen McCormick went around campus to find out what people really think about Valentine's Day.
Well, my mom and dad got married on Valentine's Day 33 years ago. Well, will be 33 years ago. And I think it's a good holiday if you're in love and blah, blah, blah. And want to be committed to that special someone. But if you're lonely and you're not with anyone, I don't think it's a great holiday because then people get depressed. But it's very commercialized.
It's an over-publicized, commercialized holiday that really you should celebrate with your significant other every day of the year.
I think it can be fun if you truly do enjoy, buying gifts for others. I don't know, I think it's pretty hard to get out of. I think it's pretty difficult to get around. I don't know, it's okay. I'm pretty indifferent about it.
Actually, I choose not to celebrate Valentine's Day. I celebrate Singles Awareness Day, and that I find to be quite fun, actually.
I don't really like the holiday because I believe that we can celebrate love every day of the year, and I don't really celebrate it because I've never really had the person to celebrate it with, but I still tell everyone I love them each day of the year.
Well, I love Valentine's Day, and the reason that I love it is I think it gives us an opportunity to once again think out what we mean by love. It gives us an opportunity to examine the nature and the meaning of love, and helps us to reflect upon how we actually express that to the people in our lives. So for me, in a special way for my wife, but also is extended to my children and then the larger community of people that I know, friends, family, and so forth. So I'm looking forward to Valentine's Day.
QU's Multicultural Department is performing their annual Black History Month project. This year's project is a play written by QU's Director of Multicultural and Leadership Programs, Calvin Johnson, and directed by Connie Phillips. The play displays what times were like for African Americans in the past and what times are like now, showing some of the hardships they had to overcome.
I really have respect for our Black History movement, our civil rights movement and everything, and what was going on in the past. So that's why we sit here and we try to put on a celebration program for that simple reason, so it can keep reminding people and we can be in remembrance of Black History Month.
The play will be held on Sunday, February 3rd in the McHugh Theater at 3 p.m. There's no cost to attend.
While February is Black History Month, many people don't know the origins of the celebration. Credit goes on to the first scholars of the African American history. February is not only a month to acknowledge the birthdays of our late presidents or to decide if we will have 6 more weeks of winter. February is also acknowledged as Black History Month. Known as the father of Black history, Carter G. Woodson believed that documenting and sharing African American contributions was essential to cultivating positive self-worth among African Americans as well as garnering respects from other races. Woodson spearheaded the founding of the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History in 1915, specifically to research the African American past. A prolific historian in his own right, Woodson wrote several books, including A Century of Negro Migration and Miseducation of the Negro. Of all his many contributions, Woodson's decision to set aside the second week of February, which contained the birthdays of both Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, to launch Negro History Week, now Black History Month, in 1926 is perhaps his most celebrated. I sat down with Calvin T. Johnson, Director of Multicultural and Leadership Programs, to discuss his opinions on the importance of Black History Month.
I think that when we begin to look at Black History Month, or any month that celebrate the cultural cultural obligations or additions to this country, that's how we should really look at it. It's not where one particular race can just celebrate their accomplishments. It's that we can all take part and say, wow, this is how far we've come as a country.
I also sat down with Javante Francis, student and president of the Minority Student Association, to get his perspective on Black History Month.
Black History Month, I feel that every year is celebrated. We should add something new to the spectrum, especially here in the United States of America, that is, becoming a well-diverse plethora, melting pot of cultures, traditions, heritage, and customs. So, we should always be shooting for the best, always shooting for effective intercultural communication and just a better tomorrow.
For QUTV, I'm Charity Boyd. QUTV Sports Director Andy Martinez is here with the follow-up to last week's story on signing day. Andy?
Thanks, Charity. On last week's show, we briefly touched on a successful national signing day for the QU football team. Coach Tom Pagic had his annual press conference where he highlighted some key recruits and talked about building depth to build his program. National Signing Day was last Wednesday, February 5th, and for the QU football team, it was an eventful day. Coach Pagic and his staff signed 25 players to this year's class, but this year there was one need that was greater than others.
So on the offensive side of the ball, we have one returning quarterback. So to run a college football program and address that, you need 4 or 5. Committed 3, I believe 3 good ones. We'll probably take certainly 2 more in that class, but build depth.
Pagic has indeed built depth to back up returning starter Nick Lonergan, who will be a redshirt junior next season, and picked out one quarterback in particular from this year's class.
Robbie Kelly, show me a better quarterback in the region that lit it up more than he did.
Kelly, a 6'3" quarterback from Rochester, Illinois, is one of 22 players in this year's class that hails from the states of Illinois or Missouri. It is part of Pagic's emphasis on recruiting what he calls his backyard.
It's so important. You're going to recruit your backyard. One school may not have a kid for 4 or 5 years, but if you're not in that school, you're not going to get that kid that shows up in the 6th year.
Other areas of need in this year's class include some specialists, a position that is often overlooked.
You saw the long snapper on there. Well, you never notice those guys until something goes wrong. They're always automatic until something blows up, and they're like, well, who's coaching that position? And boy, they got to shore up that spot.
Still, the message of this year's class and future classes from Pagic will be the same: staying local.
So we'll continue to work with the local guys, and that's always going to be our goal, and the guys that want to choose Quincy. From building success to looking at QU's most successful team at the moment,
The women's basketball team continues their dominance in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. QU swept Bellarmine and Southern Indiana last weekend at Pepsi Arena to improve to 19-2 and 12-1 in the GLVC. QU almost saw their first home loss of the season when they saw a 28-point lead slip against Southern Indiana before holding on to win 90-87. The Lady Hawks go on the road this weekend to play number 22 in Indianapolis and then travel to play St. Joseph's College. QU plays 3 of their final 5 games away from Pepsi Arena, where they boast a 13-0 record. From the Soaring Lady Hawks to the men's basketball team, who has had a trying season this year. The QU men are 8-15 and 3-10 in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. The Hawks are just a game out of the final spot in the GLVC tournament, but face a long road to make it, with 4 of their final 5 opponents boasting a winning record and inside the top half of the GLVC. Still, QU is not far from a turnaround, as the Hawks have lost 10 games by 10 or fewer points, and 5 of those losses have been by 5 or fewer points. That has given the Hawks reason for optimism.
When we make it into the playoffs, the record will be 0-0, and we can go in with a fresh start, and we can just go in and make an impact.
It's almost been our battle cry all year long. What do we got to do? One more play, one more thing to get us from a negative to a positive. And no better time than right now. And the only thing I know as a coach, and you rely on your years and years of experience, we have great character with our kids. We have great work ethic with our players. And what I need to do is stay the course, stay positive, and keep pushing them to find that extra gear, that extra play that gets us over the top.
Thanks, Andy. Delta Tau Delta held their blood drive in the Student Center this past Wednesday. The blood drive is held every 2 months and has been going on for 3 years. Donating blood just once can save up to 3 lives. It's a powerful statistic that drives the Delta Tau Delta fraternity to continue hosting the events.
Can save up to 3 lives, and what we get out of it is a sense of, helping out the community and making sure we get blood to people who need it.
If you forgot to donate, don't worry, you'll have the opportunity again in a couple of months. That's all we have for this week, but before we go, do either of you have any big plans for Valentine's Day?
I'm probably just going to do the usual dinner, movie, flowers, hopefully.
You, Aaron?
Work. So Valentine's Day does not exist for me.
Sounds good. That's a wrap on this week's episode of QUTV. Make sure you follow us on Facebook for all the latest campus news. For the entire QUTV staff, I'm Charity Boyd.
And I'm Sarah Valkamp. Until next time, Hawks, keep soaring high.